Nothing. That's exactly what you see on your screen right now. And when you're expecting something, well, it evokes a lot of fear when it doesn't arrive as such. I'll explain the theft of gold bars and how it was done, and that should scare every single one of you that buy precious metals online. Let's talk about it as we explore. Imagine you get a package in the mail and you're thinking, well, there's going to be some gold bars in here. But you go to open it up and voila, it's empty inside. Nothing in there. That's exactly what happened to a customer who found out that this gold bars that he ordered, 4 of them, were not there. Yes, this is much more comforting to know that you have bought 4 gold bars and they've arrived intact. And you would think a service that was used would have, usually they are very good in providing tracking information and the like. But when it's an inside job, well, it's a different matter. And that's exactly what happened here. Your worst fears buying precious metals, it came true for one customer here from Fox 13 in Memphis, Tennessee, is reporting that a FedEx employee stole a package containing 4 gold bars and pawned them at a local pawn shop, according to the Memphis Police Department. Now, likely this employee knows precious metals and knows that gold is trading near an all-time high, and so it was worth it to take about $12,000 worth of gold, maybe more than that, and he would have done very well for himself if he sold those. And apparently that was he was risking his job in order to make that happen, but it didn't work out so well for him. MPD, the Memphis Police Department, said a company had reported a package handled by the FedEx hub arrived with missing items. FedEx Loss Prevention investigated and determined that a package containing 4 1-ounce gold bars was scanned into the Memphis hub on May the 14th. Investigators learned that the FedEx employee, Antoine Tate, had pawned an extensive amount of jewelry and precious metals at a local pawn shop since January. So this was the latest of a string of thefts that has been done by an employee on the inside of FedEx. Now, keep in mind, this is something that's fairly rare that's going to happen because, there's a lot of good dealers out there that use FedEx. And this is not saying anything about FedEx, but you're going to have bad apples in the bunch from time to time. In fact, I know that channel sponsor Summit Metals uses FedEx. But make no mistake, they stand behind whatever they do on their end and certainly will work with you if there's ever a problem. But this is a very rare situation, but still very, very scary indeed for sure. A pawn ticket for Tate's transaction showed that he pawned gold bars, according to the police. The police department said Tate was employed with FedEx and had access to the package when the gold bars worth more than $13,500 went missing. Officers arrested Tate and charged him with theft of property between $10,000 and $60,000. Wow. What a story this is. And it just goes to show you that, you're not immune, even in the most trustworthy companies, where something like this could happen. So that is what is occurring. Now, this is a very rare instance, but it just goes to show you that nothing is completely foolproof, and whenever you order online, you have to prepare for the possibility that this could occur. I imagine there's probably ways to report it if it ever does come your way, and likely a lot of these things are filmed, but imagine if a driver took it and stole it in transit. And more than likely they would be investigated because I think they are responsible for all of the products that are in their care or on their truck when they go to deliver them. So it is one of those situations that is certainly scary for sure. And if you've ever lost a package, I know it happened to a member of the community here who it was one of those things where the Postal Service was involved and insurance didn't cover the theft of I think about $1,000 worth of silver, I think, at the time, and that was back when silver was much cheaper, so it was a lot of silver, pretty expensive order. So the blame was thrown at the bullion dealer at the time, and then the Postal Service, and finding that gray area as to where the dealer is responsible and where the shipping company is responsible. In this case, it's obvious that the shipping company would be responsible, and hopefully these gold bars were recovered and not damaged and sent to the customer, the company, which is anonymous in this case. But these kind of things do happen from time to time, and it is a very scary situation, especially if you think about these gold bars here. They're not necessarily rare, but if you ordered a rare coin, something with a low mintage, and that's lost or stolen and damaged, well, it hurts all the more, because in some of the cases that you may be sourcing the only one that they have, and it may not have been seen and for years until it came into the marketplace. So there's that type of thing. I think the key here is knowing and having a company that knows how to package things securely and tightly to make it more difficult. And I know that's what Summit Metal does. They do a great job of packaging, but other places do as well, and also using a revolving door of generic names like PM Bearings or Metal Supply Shop or whatever. A lot of dealers will use generic names or names to kind of throw off what they could be. Especially if the package is heavy. One other thing they will do if they're coins is they will put foam and ways to be able to prevent rattling, so when you shake it, it doesn't sound like coins banging up against each other. Most places will do that and ship in such a way, but of course, gold bars like this, they already come in assay cards, but they still should be protected so as they don't bang against each other in transit, which could happen because some of these packages can be thrown about violently, even if it's on a bumpy plane ride or a truck ride. They can bang around, so they should be protected with bubble wrap or other padding to protect them. But nonetheless, there's always some people who will look past it and know what some of the names are, even if it's a revolving door of names that are used on these packages, and take a chance and open them up. In this case, this guy, he certainly did that, found them and took them and tried to sell them. I'm glad he was caught. And it just goes to show you, this is a string of burglaries that has happened essentially since January, with other items as well too. But some of these employees, they know what's coming through their hub, and they recognize some of the shippers, and so they become familiar. And when they do that, well, they act. And of course, this guy got caught. And thank goodness. How many people get away with it? I don't know. Again, I think this is fairly rare, but it certainly does raise our fears, and it's something that I've thought about often in terms of packages that come through. So, I wouldn't use this video as a way to discourage you from ordering online, because like I said, the vast majority of times it's safe. I've very rarely had any problems, and I've ordered a lot online. So I don't want to discourage you in that regard, but also just want to make you aware that there are some bad actors out there. So I would say, be prepared in case it does happen, that you know what to do. And I think the thing to do is, if you get a package where there's nothing in there, contact the shipper and let them know. In fact, I wouldn't sign for it unless you see if the package has been tampered with in any way, shape, or form, and don't sign for it. This here, the way you can tell if somebody tapes over tape, it's one of those things, you tape it and you see where it's been cut, or it's been taped with shipping tape again. That's one way as a sign that there may be an issue. And of course, I know it's not practical at times, especially I know where I am. Sometimes it's not practical to open the package while the driver is there. But you don't want them to know what you've got. You don't want to show your hand, so to speak. But the other thing too is you can film your unboxings. You don't have to post them on YouTube, but if you film them, then that way you've got a video record of it on your end, and you can see that, hey, this thing did not arrive. Of course, those can be staged as well, and I understand that, but the thing is it will at least invoke an investigation, and that's exactly what happened here. It will need to be investigated thoroughly through the supply chain of the shipping process. in order to occur. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story. Fascinating indeed. I like to give you the latest news in the world of precious metals, and this video will be added to a playlist called Precious Metal Crimes. So I hope you will check out other videos in that playlist as well. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.